and welcome to the ADHD-Friendly Podcast. I'm Patty Blenderman. I'm an ADHD coach with over 10 years experience, and my passion is finding ways to create more ease in my life with ADHD-friendly tools and resources. This is episode 86, Comprehensive To-Do List. So I'm going to be diving into a topic that's often challenging for a lot of us. We tend to have a lot of lists in a lot of places. So I'm going to give you some ADHD-friendly steps to create one overall list and then work from that one. But before I get to that, I'm going to start, as I always do, with a celebration. I'm calling this my social celebration. And then I have an ADHD-friendly quote and a tip that actually tie together with the celebration before I dive into comprehensive to-do lists. And then at the end, as always, I will give you some highlights for what's coming up in next week's episode. But let's kick it off with the celebration. So this is a social win. Love it when I have a social win. So a couple of weeks ago, I attended a friend's baby shower here in Chicago. And I RSVP'd right away. I bought the gift. I got a bunch of cute little board books that were on her baby registry, but then I also bought some of my favorite board books from when my kids were little to add to that. And then I knitted a little baby hat, which I was really excited about. And so I did all of that. I was feeling really on top of my game. But what I found was the day of the shower, I woke up and I was feeling very anxious. And I know that this is my pattern. I struggle with some social anxiety. So I kind of sat there and, kind of daydreamed, if you will, about reasons that I could cancel at the last minute, which I know that just sounds terrible, but that's just how my brain works. So I was kind of, thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to parallel park, because I knew it was going to be in a little downtown area and I don't parallel park well. I knew it was going to be a bunch of people that I would not know. The only person I knew was the one having a baby. So I, was a little apprehensive about that. I didn't know what I was going to wear, and I hadn't wrapped the gifts yet. So I had, a nice little pile of books and the baby hat, but I hadn't wrapped them. And so I just sat kind of ruminating about all of that and trying to think of reasons that I could get out of going. Maybe if I, I'm not feeling well, or, whatever, just, kind of playing around with how could I not have to deal with this? And what I realized was I was all in my head. I was just thinking about it. And if I just started with one thing, I felt like I might, then make a decision. I was like, maybe if I can get the gifts wrapped, I can, figure out a way to drop them off. So I wouldn't have to worry about mailing them, because that's another challenge of mine. But so that leads me to the ADHD-friendly tip. And this comes from a quote from Dale Carnegie, where he said, "Inaction breeds doubt and fear. Action breeds confidence and courage. If you want to conquer fear, don't sit home and think about it. Get out and get busy." This resonated with me so much, because that's exactly what I did. I don't know where I originally heard this saying, but it's action is the antidote to anxiety. That's one of my mantras. I firmly believe this, and I have so much evidence that if I sit and think about things, I just get more anxious. It doesn't help me in any constructive way. So I love the idea of just getting up and starting. And so what I did was I decided just to get up and look and see if I thought I had a gift bag, a baby themed shower gift bag that I could use just to kind of tuck all of the books and the little hat in. And I realized I didn't have one. And then I started getting a little more nervous, but then I found a box that I could use, and I had wrapping paper for a baby shower that was, cute little baby themed wrapping paper, and I had ribbons. And so I just kind of pulled everything, I cleared off the table, and I just went deep into wrapping the gift. And that was all I focused on, was just wrapping it. And I'm just going to hold up a picture. So again, if you're listening to this podcast, I invite you to check out my YouTube channel, ADHD-Friendly Podcast, and you'll see I felt really good about my gift. I wrapped it. I just made a little card, and I had a bunch of ribbon, and I just tied it, and I felt really good about this. And then once I had the gift wrapped, I thought, oh, you know what? I would be happy to bring this and have it set on a table. And that created some momentum and some energy. So then I went up and I was like, let me just see if I can find something to wear. And it just started the ball rolling. So I wanted to tie my social win of I went. I got over my kind of sitting in one place and thinking about all the things that I was feeling overwhelmed with by just getting up and starting with one thing that was really getting in the way, which was the gift, not having it wrapped yet. And then the second thing was finding something to wear. But what I found was once I had the gift, I was kind of motivated to bring the gift. And so finding something to wear wasn't nearly as difficult as I had built it up in my head. Because again, sitting in inaction and thinking about it, exactly the opposite of what we need. Action is the antidote to anxiety. Love that. So I'm sharing that and that Dale Carnegie quote because it supported me to get to the shower, have that social win, had a great time, really enjoyed myself, was so much fun to be there and see my friend and celebrate with her. And now it's a win that I'm sharing with you, and just know that action is the antidote to anxiety. Just want to highlight that because that's often the opposite of what we do. We tend to sit and think. So don't think, do. All right, now on to the topic for this week. And it's comprehensive to-do lists. So I'm going to break down some steps to creating your comprehensive to-do list. But before I do that, I want to define comprehensive to-do list. So this comes from two different places. I got two definitions to share with you. The first is a comprehensive to-do list is an externalized and personalized record of everything you have to do rather than having to hold it in memory. I want to highlight here the externalized. Again, we tend to keep things in our head. It takes up all of our working memory. We forget things. We get frustrated. It doesn't work. I love to just really want to hit on the externalized. The second definition is an all-encompassing list of your various tasks, responsibilities, and undertakings. Yeah, I agree with that. Okay, so I love this resource. It's the Adult ADHD Toolkit. Russel Ramsay is one of the authors, and he identifies two different purposes to a comprehensive to-do list. And I agree with both of these. He says the first is to have a process for unloading and thinking through your tasks. Remember, if we get it out of our head and into something concrete, external, we can see it and process it. And that's exactly what he's saying here, because you can look through it and think about it instead of trying to think about what your list is in your head. Think about all that working memory, how fatiguing that is. The second purpose that he identifies is to have an enduring record of them so that you do not have to continually remember and maintain the list in your head. Yes. So I just want to highlight, this is not a comprehensive bucket list of everything you want to do for the rest of your time here on Earth. This is a very specific time frame list. So it might be your list for this month. It might be your list for this week. I would really encourage you, don't go beyond like 6 weeks. It's really kind of the recommendation is that a comprehensive list covers things that need to happen in the next 1 to 6 weeks. Depending on how far out you can stretch your time horizon to start, kind of collecting those things. It might be a little shorter, but really recommend it not going beyond 6 weeks, unless you need to plan something. So if you have like a fall event coming up that you need to book a flight for now, then that's going to go on your list because that needs to happen before that trip in the fall. But limiting it to that time frame can really help us rein it in. What we tend to do is go and make a list of everything that needs to be done in our life, and that's just overwhelming, and it stops us from doing any of it. So 1 to 6 weeks to keep it a tight list, something that you can actually work from. So I'm going to share 5 steps to making a list that is comprehensive and can work to support you to manage it with more ease. So the first, and again, a lot of this I pulled from the Adult ADHD Toolkit. So I want to just, again, recommend that resource. Lots of great concrete steps to take in there for lots of different ADHD related challenges. So the first is pick a notebook or start a digital note or document. I'm a personal fan of a concrete list. If I want a digital copy, I'll take a picture of it or I'll scan it, but I like to work externally with my list. So, either a whiteboard or a piece of paper, something concrete that I'm working in. This will be used solely for your comprehensive to-do list. So it's not something that you're also using for your grocery list and other things. It's just your comprehensive list. I've had clients who kept them in notebooks and put it in a specific cabinet in the kitchen, but they hung like a clipboard from the inside door of a cabinet or tucked the notebook into a cabinet, somewhere centrally located. So you're easy access. You're able to get to it quickly, so you can add to it and go back and revisit it when you need to. The second step, once you've picked where you're going to be capturing all of the items on your list, is to pick a place free from distractions. So I'm going to really encourage here, get out of space that there's a screen, a TV, things that are going to pull your focus. You're trying to think about all those things and maybe pull a bunch of lists, scraps of paper that you've been making lists on together to make one comprehensive list. Give yourself the gift of focus and not have things pull your attention so that it's going to get in the way of making this comprehensive list. Step 3, write down all of your appointments, commitments, errands, projects, anything that has to happen in the next 1 to 6 weeks, the time frame that you decide on, all together on this list. So write them all down. Number 4, decide where you're going to keep it. So like I shared, I've had clients keep them in lots of places. I personally keep mine in my office because it's where I'm typically working on my list from. So think about, where will it live? If it's in a computer file, what will you name it so you'll remember it exists? Will it be shared amongst multiple devices? Do you also want to print out a hard copy if it's a digital list so that you can work from a physical list if that's better for your brain? But decide where it's going to live, especially if it's physical. Where are you going to put it that you'll remember it's there so you can go back and find it easily? Number 5, add to the list as new tasks come up and refer to it for reminders of obligations so that you're remembering the things that you either committed to do or you intended to do. But remember, this is not your daily to-do list. This is your comprehensive list. So this is where you're going back. And I say once a week, I like to go back and review it and see, I tend to plan through the upcoming week. So I'll pull what I need to do that week from my comprehensive list. And then anything else that comes up, I can add it to that list, and it doesn't have to clutter up the list I'm working from for that week and that day. Your comprehensive list is where all of your tasks go, but it's also where you get to go back and reflect and see. And what I love is when I go back and I read it, there's always something on there that I'm like, oh my gosh, I would have completely forgotten, because it's not something, maybe I had a goal of cleaning out the garage before a neighborhood yard sale. But maybe that isn't coming up for a month. But when I go back and I look at the list, it reminds me, so that I can look at my calendar and kind of see, like, when would I have the space of time to do this so I can work it around into my schedule. So this is your comprehensive list is your master task list that you are navigating from. So I wanted to share a couple of examples of how I use mine. And the first is I just literally every month kind of have the things pulled from my list that I need to focus on that are priorities. And I'll write them on a lined Post-it note. And I'll just write down like June tasks. And I put little check boxes next, and it's always on my daily calendar so I can see it. If I don't have specific time planned for yet, it reminds me that these are things that still need to be planned and checked off. The other that I love, and this is my absolute favorite, and again, I'm holding this up. If you're listening, I invite you to check out my YouTube channel. But this is a semester calendar. I've talked about semester calendars before. I do have this available for sale in the ADHD-Friendly.com shop. I'm an Amazon affiliate, so I do benefit financially if you buy from there, but it does not increase the price. I always feel like I have to disclose that. I have it there for your convenience, so that if you want the exact same one, you can go in there and see it. It's the same price you can buy it on Amazon. There's just a link there that will take you directly to Amazon. But on here, I have June, July, August, September. I love seeing September, so I can kind of highlight, like, when does school start? This is when school ends. Any family vacations? I'm going to kind of hold that up for a second so you can see it, if that helps you. Or you maybe kind of block out if there's any camps for your kids for the summer, any company visiting, vacations you're taking. It literally lets you see, okay, all of that time, I'm not available to do these things. It lets you see the time you actually do have available to work on the tasks that you're trying to get done in a period of time. So I'm a huge fan of taking the list and then concretely looking at the time I have available with a semester calendar so I can plan more easily. And then my other tip is, you guys know I love Post-it notes. I will take Post-its, because this is actually like a 24 by 36 inch dry erase calendar with a nice frame that hangs on my wall. And I'll take the little, I think they're like 1.5 by 2.25 inch Post-its, and I'll write on them, and I'll just stick them around the calendar where I think weekends I'm free or different times I might be able to get them done. And if they can't get completed when I thought I would get it done, it lets me move them easily. So I can be like, oh my gosh, I'm like running out of summer. I need to get that done. I can see it. So I love using Post-it notes to kind of flag when I'm thinking I'm going to get something done, so I can plan around what my intentions are, because I remember them because I externalized it and put it into something I can use and see the plan. So those are just some tips for how I plan my tasks around concrete tools, so I have a chance to keep up with them with more ease. I also like to think about things in terms of categories. So I like summertime. I don't like the heat, but I do like that my schedule is lighter, because most of my students that I work with will pause coaching over the summer. And so my schedule is much lighter in the summer months. So I tend to identify this time to complete some business projects, to do some home projects that I don't have as much time to do during the busy school kind of calendar months. And so I might have like travel plans, what different, if we want to go on weekend getaways or a vacation, or I want to have, people visit me, I, want to get them on the calendar. So I'm making sure I have time to do the things I want to do. I look at home projects, I look at business projects. I look at any health goals that I have. And then I look at things like, if I have more time in the summer, which I typically do, is there something, a class I want to take, something I want to learn? Love of learning is my top via character strength. So I always want to kind of identify what is I'm going to get to do this summer that I'm going to, kind of enjoy the extra time, because it's giving me an opportunity to take a class or a workshop or learn something new. So I put them in those categories, and then I kind of plot them out on my calendar so I can see what I'm trying to fit into my summer. And doing that more times than not helps me to prioritize, because then I can see I can't get all this done. I can't stretch time. There's no way that this is all going to fit. So then I can start, kind of letting go of the expectation of doing certain things instead of stressing and feeling like I need to stretch the time to make it happen. It's like, you know what, that's not going to happen this year. I'll see if there's another time I can get it done, or if it can wait till next summer, I'll push it to next summer. So that's just how I approached my comprehensive list leading into this summer, was getting out my semester calendar, getting my little Post-its, putting everything out, and then blocking it out so I can see it. So that's it. Just to recap, I started off the episode with my social celebration that I attended my friend's baby shower. And I did that with my ADHD-friendly quote from Dale Carnegie, which led to the tip, which is action is the antidote to anxiety. I just wrapped the baby shower gift and then looked for something to wear. And then before I knew, I was in the car and on the way to the shower and had a great time. And then my topic, comprehensive to-do list, I shared 5 tips to start yours, or to maybe make one that's actually going to work for you in a more ADHD friendly way. And then some external concrete tools that I use to manage mine with more ease, just in case they help you to think about what would you need to help manage your list so that you're checking more things off. Next time on ADHD Friendly, I'm going to dive into how to take your comprehensive list and pull from it to create a more immediate to-do list, your daily to-dos. We'll get into that next time. I hope you got something useful from this episode. As always, I invite you to take what works for you and leave whatever does not behind. This is all about finding strategies that work for your brain. If you would like some more resources and tools, I invite you to check out my website, ADHD-friendly.com, for tons of resources, as well as some tips for starting your own personal owner's manual to capture the things that do work for you. Until next week, tally ho.